enable.
Hello and welcome to our special CEO Roundtable series, India at 75 Opportunities and Challenges, presented by PMI in association with CNBC TV 18. India at 75 will have a number of things going for her: the power of a strong demographic dividend, the talent of 1 billion plus people, emerging technologies that can help us leapfrog into the future, and lots more. At the same time, there will be numerous challenges as well: the challenge of job creation, the challenge of infrastructure development, adopting digital technologies across the country, and lots more. So through this series, we are trying to gather ideas for India at 75 from eminent CEOs, policymakers, as well as academicians. And today we are coming to you from the city of Bengaluru, and I'm joined by a set of eminent CEOs from the city. Welcome, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to have you on board with us for this special CEO Roundtable series. Let me begin by asking what you think is going to be the one biggest challenge and the one biggest opportunity for India at 75, that's in 5 years from now. Raj?
I wonder if there's demographic dividend or is it demographic disaster, which is going to happen in the next few years if we don't do something about it right now. Right. Coming specifically from the project management arenas or space, I really see it as an opportunity. About 20 years back, we did extremely well in IT. And IT became a huge employer. Also, if you look at the entire ecosystem, the kind of employment they provided across was phenomenal. Given the fact that Indians, as a culturally, we learn well, and we come out in a very tough environment, I believe we are actually suited to be good project managers. What we lack, however, is the sense of discipline. And we normally tend to do what we call as jugaad. Right? And if we can avoid bit of this jugaad and get into a little more organized approach. Personally, to me, I think project management and creating a professional could be possibly the next boom for India and the capital. And this is what we could export globally. Okay. Because we are really tuned to that. So there is opportunity and there is challenge, and for me, both of them are same in terms of how do we utilize the demographics to its best advantage.
The internet, of course, will play a huge role. It has already played a huge role in driving growth across sectors. And Cisco, Samir, is involved with the government in the Digital India mission. So tell us a little bit about how these public-private partnerships can really be made more effective in the next 5 years. What are the biggest challenges in a large-scale, complex project like the Digital India mission? And what is it that the public and private sector can together do to improve efficiencies on that front?
On projects that we have done with the government, now whether it is smart cities or smart metering or managing substations with IoT sensors and so on and so forth, the one thing I have learned in my short time at Cisco right now has been that it takes a lot of time for both sides to learn, right? How to implement, how to scope, how to manage these projects. And we learn together on these projects. Right. But it doesn't take long after you've learned that to roll them out fast enough, right? So it becomes business. So it's like a big project that you do, and you put in a lot of effort in learning on both sides. But over a period of time, it becomes business as usual on both sides. And that's when the momentum actually comes in. Project management, I think, is definitely an area that we feel on both sides, whether it's the government or the industry, need to spend a lot of time on. In Cisco, we have probably around 900 project managers across our engineering, IT, and businesses. And we have programs specifically to help them improve, called PM Connect. So we believe strongly in the fact that once you've implemented, the momentum that you can get by learning on those projects, large projects, is pretty significant.
Right. And Bala, the other ambitious project that the government has is the Make in India initiative, and Boeing, of course, is contributing significantly to that. How essential is it going to be for India to have a very globally competitive supply chain. That's, of course, going to be key to India's success in the next 5 years.
I think India has to be competitive globally. We talked about the internet. Knowledge is available everywhere. People know what is going on throughout the world. Very often we think in terms of, India is competing with the West and we are cheaper and somehow, work will keep coming from US or Europe someplace. But our competitors are no longer the Americans or the Europeans. They are sitting in somewhere else in Asia. Yeah. It could be the Philippines, it could be Vietnam, it could be any of the other countries which are, from a cost point of view, more or less the same. So this is no longer about we are more efficient from a cost perspective. It really has to be we are capable of doing something more. We are able to contribute, independent of what the cost is. We are able to contribute to a large extent. And in that sense, I think being competitive is extremely important.
Let me bring in Raj at this point. So we talked of some large-scale national missions, Digital India, Make in India. How relevant is the project management culture and mindset going to be to achieving these large-scale complex missions? And like Samir said, they emphasize a lot on project management within Cisco. But from the rest of corporate India, what are your expectations? Where do you think the top leadership should be focusing as far as project management is concerned?
I would say that there are pockets of excellence in all these segments. All of us know about Delhi Metro. It's a case study of how somebody can deliver a project on time. A social project ahead of time within the budget. Yeah. There is also private cases like Cisco or L&T construction. There are many cases where they are successful. But the issue is that at least 10 times more cases of unsuccessful projects which has happened or not on time. I mean, look at it very clearly. There are two things which really bothers me when I look at this. Is the lack of planning which we do in our country. A project is announced and we sort of jump into action before we even do any amount of planning. I remember a few years back, I was traveling abroad and going from the airport, and there was a sign which said, I was going in the month of May, the sign which said that from month of August onwards, there is going to be a diversion on this road because the road is going to get repaired. In Bombay, I live in Bombay, and when I go out in the morning, and suddenly I find the road has been dug up. There is absolutely no information. So completely lack of planning. That's one important thing here. The second important thing is, as a culture, I don't think we have I think we are risk-ignorant culture. I mean, projects go into issues. There are delays. There are risks which we need to identify. And therefore, those unless we are able to identify those and get those into place. And this is what I've seen across projects. I mean, you take whether it's public projects or private projects, you just get into it, jump into the project, no planning. I think there is a much better way of doing things, much better way of getting high predictability for your results. And it's happened across the globe. It's just not happened. I mean, if you look at the various researches which PMI has done, it very clearly shows that moment an organization has committed itself into project management, the results are always higher. To your other question, which is very important, and this is something which I've always felt when I talk to corporates, is that the moment you say the word project management, somehow the CEO believes that it's not meant for me, it's meant for somebody junior. And the fact that project management is going to be the key element, because at the end of the day, project management is that bridge which connects the strategy to execution and business results. So getting that attention is extremely important, and that's why we keep on thrusting and talking about the fact that executive sponsorship is something extremely important, and whether you call it project management or program management or portfolio management, I mean, you can give it any name you want to give it. But having this focus on ensuring that planning and execution is important. That's something which is really something which we need to focus.
Okay, so let me get Partha to respond to that. Would you agree with a lot of what Raj is saying? And at MindTree, what's the sort of investment that you're making in your managerial talent? Are you helping them increase efficiencies? And what's the larger picture for the IT sector?
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with both the points that Raj mentioned. Both from a senior management point of view, as well as the importance of project management capabilities in people. I also believe one of the things we were talking about before we came into this panel is that, if you look at project management capability, they also have evolved over a period of time. If you look at IT industry specifically, most of the project managers grew at a certain time how the IT industry evolved. Now, some of the skills they had was very relevant at the time, but they're no longer relevant now. And you need a completely different way by which you need to approach project management. Like you said, it doesn't matter which way you look at it, project management, program management, or portfolio management. I think there is lots of change which is happening. And I think within MindTree, we are putting significant amount of effort to ensure that we upgrade the skills and capabilities of these people to be able to meet the current needs and the future needs.
Dilip, just to bring you in at this point also, what is the SAP experience with respect to project management? Do you invest heavily in creating in-house certified project managers? And what's the extent to which you can mitigate risks and losses if you have qualified project managers on board?
So two aspects, I think, which are very important. I think even from an India context, and it is same, I think as a typical Indian, we need to get away from the mentality of always doing something which is copying from someone else or best practices, always thinking about, I will wait for 5 people to do successfully, and I will be the 6th person to copy it and do it in a perfect and pragmatic way. I think that time is gone. I'm just arguing that you need to find a way that you disrupt things and you create something for the world. And that factor needs to happen also inside as a part of the project management. And that becomes extremely key if India wants to move forward.
Okay, I'm going to ask you to hold that thought right there. On that note, we're going to head into a short break right now, but stay with us as the conversation on India at 75 opportunities and challenges continues on the other side. Welcome back to our special CEO Roundtable series, India at 75 Opportunities and Challenges. Let's shift gears a little bit and also talk about perhaps the biggest challenge that we are facing today, that of job creation. We have over 1 million people joining the job market almost every month. There is a sort of dichotomy between what is taught in institutes and what the industry expects. So for India to really emerge as a global superpower in the next couple of years, Veti, what are the sort of changes that we require within our education system, and what are your expectations from industry leaders? You're the only educationist on a panel of CEOs here today, so please throw open all that expectation list from all of these people here.
Let me step back and take a couple of minutes to explain 3 dimensions: education, higher education, and then education for jobs, and then this whole gamut about skills. We must understand there are 3 different buckets, if you will. And just to put some numbers in perspective, India has a gross enrollment ratio of 22%. A gross enrollment ratio is the number of youth which get into higher education as a percentage of the total eligible youth who could get in. The global average is around 45, right? The Western Europe and Americas are in the north 60s. We have a plan to take this 22% to 30% in the next 5 years, and that's what we are talking about in India in 75. And to make this 22% move to 30%, we will have 30 million youth get into higher education in this country. Now, we have 750 universities. We have 40,000 colleges and institutions. If we have to only look at conventional education to take care of this 30 million additional youth, every 4th day you must put up a new college, and every 7th day you must put up a new university. So this project management will have a huge work of just creating universities and universities. So clearly there must be an alternative. One of the things which I think the government is very actively acknowledging and supporting is this whole concept of online education. You don't need one faculty at 40 students. One faculty can teach 400,000 students by the power of technology, by disseminating this education at a larger platform. The second dimension is how much of this education that we do is relating to employability. Getting a job is a limited portion of education. Now, how much do industries work to make these happen? There could be a bunch of opportunities which throw up today in terms of the jobs.
Right.
If I continue, we talk of students getting into internship, right? And I'm being deliberately provocative here. How many of our faculties do we get from industry who take a sabbatical and come and teach? The third dimension, which I think is very important, is this whole thing of skill, and you talked about it from a narrow perspective. I think there's a social element that I believe. As most of Indians, we continue to believe a degree education is like a passport, right? I mean, people in this room, how many of us struggle to get a qualified plumber or electrician at home? Try getting a good plumber at home, you'll give up. Go to UK and try getting a plumber who's not certified. He's not allowed to touch your plumbing line if he or she is not certified.
Right.
If the industry in India states that I will only insist on certified blue-collar people who will work for me, then the push to get people certified, vocational skills, there'll be a spurt of that happen. I think that's a dimension which I would want to leave it with you guys.
Sure. All right. I'm going to ask each one of you to quickly comment on one thing that you think is a low-hanging fruit for India at 75, which can definitely be achieved, and which will help India leapfrog into the future. Yeah. Sameer?
I think this nation has a tremendous amount of talent, which naturally is very good at STEM, right? Which a lot of other countries are struggling with. And that's pretty obvious from what we've done in the IT industry over the last 2 decades, right? So let's focus on the fact that we have a strength in that. The second thing that I'm very clear about is that we should not discount the importance of financial acumen, given all the focus that we have on what I call technology and IT. That's probably one of the things that I would probably say is something that we should focus on.
All right. Bala, one low-hanging fruit that India can definitely achieve by 75, and we'll keep that really short.
I think we need to be much more open to collaborating, creating consortia, having industry and government work together. Right. I think there is a huge opportunity if we are willing to open our aperture and look beyond this, India only kind of thing.
Raj?
Maybe 10 years back, a project manager was known to know only if you knew the project management body of knowledge, the book, which is all about the hard skills, then you were a project manager. But today it's completely transforming. The project manager is requiring to know what you said. Business skills and leadership skills are extremely important for the person to know. And if you look at the role the person plays, what he learns, he's actually learning things which makes him prepared for being a leader tomorrow. Right. Because he's learning about how to manage stakeholders, he's learning how to manage about communications, HR, integration, and the whole lot. Right. And to me, if you ask me low-hanging fruit, the entire program is not rocket science. So you don't need to have a 4-year or 8-year degree and a PhD to become project manager. You just need to take 1 week off and do a full program to understand the various aspects. Most of us know what we're doing, but the only thing is we don't have the overall picture, what is important. So once we have the overall picture, I think, I'm not saying that everybody who does a program will be a good project manager, I'm not saying that, but at least they will all talk the same language, there is a better understanding, and hopefully there will be far higher productivity, because I think what India needs today is to be able to deliver on its projects and programs, right, to achieve, because the business outcomes, those are things which we need to achieve, and if we can get them prepared today, I think 75 and beyond, I think we will be on the real growth path.
Okay. Ready?
So, quick one is the intersection between jobs, youth, and the skills. I think all 3 segments continue to pull into that intersection between any type of job, requires any type of skills, and we have enough and more people that we have in this system. That we should not get too bogged down about everybody, including the educational institutions like us, saying the next 5 years we are going to put 20 academies only to do artificial intelligence because that's the buzzword today. Right. By the time my institute comes up, maybe that's gone. And something else has come up. So we need think tanks to tell us what is the next 10 years later, the type of skills required, and start working on getting those people in. I am hugely optimistic on the learnability of our youth today.
At a country level, it's important for us to have a strategy as well. It's not just about organizations needing a strategy. because it's very tempting to become everything to everybody across the world. Strategy is all about making a choice. I think it's important for us as a country to decide these are the 10 things, these are the 15 things that I want to be the best in the world. I think that's point number one. Point number two is actually, I think Vaidhi just touched upon it, is actually, I think we have to avoid getting into this herd mentality. 15 years back, I think everybody said everybody has to become an IT engineer.
Right.
Right? Today, everybody has to become an entrepreneur. Right? And I think we have to move away from this herd mentality, and that is misleading a whole lot of youth in a particular direction, which not necessarily may be the best for the country.
Final point.
I feel that India will still have the challenges on the road, infrastructures, traffic jams, booths. I genuinely feel India needs to consider this problem as an opportunity. Every opportunity is a business model, and every business model is a new venture. So I just say take bold, go risk, and disrupt the world.
All right. Thank you so much, Dilip, and thank you, gentlemen, for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking to all of you. With that, it's a wrap of the first episode of this 3-part CEO Roundtable series. And we are, of course, gathering ideas for India at 75, ideas from industry leaders, academia, as well as policymakers that we hope to share with the government. Thanks for joining us today. Goodbye.
Focus, ideate, innovate, enable.